Hello and welcome to The Spice. I'm Angel.
And I'm Blake.
And today we just want to say thank you all so much for tuning in. We hope you're doing amazing. We hope you're having an amazing day. And we really appreciate all of you listening. 2 weeks ago, we did miss an episode last week, so I just wanted to apologize for that. We've been working hard. We've actually been getting a lot of submissions and trying to plan out what submissions we're going to talk about when. So it's definitely been a work in progress, but here we are. And as you can probably tell because you clicked on the podcast, the title of this episode is My Girlfriend and I Fight All the Time. So we're going to start with a couple submissions that we got to our email, and then we'll end the episode by reading from a Reddit thread. And we'll just start with the submission. We'll just start with the submission that prompted this episode. My girlfriend and I fight all the time.
Tragic.
You ready?
Let's hear it.
Okay.
What do we got?
It says, "Hello, I hope you're doing well. I'm reaching out to seek your advice regarding my relationship. My girlfriend and I seem to fight frequently, and it's becoming difficult to manage. We care about each other deeply, but the constant disagreements are affecting our connection. It's a long-distance relationship, and sometimes we meet. But when we meet, we go shopping or sometimes stay inside. She complains that I don't care about her and that we don't talk with each other enough because of our busy schedules. We would greatly appreciate any guidance or strategies you could offer to help us improve our communication and resolve conflicts more effectively. Your expertise in relationships has always been valuable, and I'm hoping to learn how to navigate these challenges together. Thank you for your time. Thanks, Anonymous." I just want to say to this person who wrote in, if you're listening right now, thank you for writing in, because I know that whatever you're going through, like relationship turmoil is already difficult enough, but when you add the extra layer of not being able to be around your person or see your person very often, I think that adds just a different layer of difficulty that not a lot of people realize. And I know that it can be difficult to talk about and work through, so we both genuinely appreciate you writing in and being willing to share this aspect of your life with us in the first place.
Thank you.
And with that being said, Blake, what are you thinking about this submission? What are your first feelings?
My first thoughts are, you say it's long distance. So is there a timeline when it won't be long distance anymore? Because that, I think, could help you guys set a goal to look forward to.
Yeah.
Kind of like a light at the end of the tunnel. Because otherwise, if there's not really anything set, there's no future plans made, you guys are just trying to make it work until something happens, or you're just trying to, keep this long distance thing going indefinitely. I mean, yeah, that's got to be stressful. I'm not really sure that's necessarily possible.
Yeah.
To do long distance indefinitely. So
what you're saying is like, is there a plan to eventually live together or live in the same city?
Right.
Like, I know, and this person who submitted this did not mention whether it was like, oh, they were high school sweethearts and they went off to college in different towns, or whether one of them had to move for work, but they plan on catching up with them later. Like, like that information isn't in here, but I think that's a good point that
we need to know what the future plans are, because you guys can, be inspired by that. You can talk about that, and you can allow that to bring you guys together when you guys are fighting.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, babe?
Well, I mean, this person is writing in saying that him and his girlfriend are arguing very frequently, and it's causing them to not feel as connected, which, he says that they're in a long distance relationship. They both have very busy schedules, and his girlfriend is complaining that he doesn't care about her. I don't know if, I don't typically want to nitpick at language, but I also think that language can reveal a lot about how we're feeling on the inside. Yeah. So if he feels like she's just complaining about it, perhaps he's not taking her feelings seriously.
Right, like validating them
Yeah.
and talking about them, recognizing them.
Yeah. So if he sees it as complaining, then maybe he's just like, oh God, this again, you know.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, if I was to give some advice regarding how to kind of minimize that, I would probably go for something more along the lines of being very intentional about what they do together. So he's saying here, we don't talk enough because of our busy schedules. Well, what is enough? Like, I don't know how
Yeah.
often they're talking, but if your partner feels like you're not making them a priority, then that's how they feel. And there are things that you can do in order to help kind of reassure your partner. So first and foremost, telling your partner, yes, I absolutely do care about you. I love you so much. I do want to be with you. We just need to get through this time as long distance.
Right.
Here's what I'm going to do to make it obvious that you are a priority. So not just telling them verbally that they're a priority, but also committing to an action that shows that they're a priority.
Right.
So for me, if I were in this person's shoes, I would tell my partner, my partner who's complaining about not talking enough, hey, I know we both have very busy schedules, but I want to show you that you are a priority to me. So every week on this day at this time, we have a standing appointment for 1 hour where no matter what is going on, we make it happen and we talk to each other.
Yeah.
And hopefully they're talking more than that throughout the week, but if they're not, that would be like kind of the bare minimum. I would start with a commitment,
Right.
and following through with that commitment, and not, you know, if you work like a 12-hour day and you're exhausted and you're falling asleep, set a timer. Make sure you wake up. And even if you're not showing up at your absolute best, you're showing up. And that, I think, can speak volumes for your commitment to that person.
I like that.
Yeah.
Making a commitment, because there's not a lot you can necessarily do being long distance to commit, I would think. But that is something you can do.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that obviously, like, this is something that the girlfriend is feeling and that he's feeling as a result of that, because when you're with someone, you react to how they're feeling. And so, you know, obviously she's feeling a type of way about this, and it's bleeding into their ability to connect when they are able to see each other.
Yeah.
Which is really sad, because it's like, when you're in a long distance relationship, you don't get to see your partner very often.
Yeah.
And if you're fighting about the fact that you never talk, when you do get to see each other, then all that time is like just wasted arguing, you know?
Right.
So I don't know. I guess that would be my main piece of advice, would be to make a commitment to that partner if you want to be with them. And I guess that's also
something to consider, is if it's worth it. You know, I don't, did they mention how long they've been together previously?
No.
So, I mean, yeah, there's, it'd be nice to have a little bit more details on this, but definitely consider that if you guys aren't compatible, then maybe both you guys would be happier and, you know, separated. I know we don't want to like encourage that unless it's like abusive or something, but
yeah, I mean, he mentions here that they both want expertise. You know, they're both hoping to learn how to navigate the challenges together. I mean, at least that's what the submission indicates, is that they both are wanting to continue this relationship.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't necessarily say don't be with this person.
Yeah.
But I do think that if you feel like your partner is complaining about not being able to be around you or talk to you enough, and that is annoying to you and you just want them to stop talking about it, like perhaps there's something deeper there that, like, you know, when you are in a long distance relationship, you spend so much time apart from this person. And people change so much that maybe when you come together, you're getting annoyed because you're realizing that you're two very different people and you're not really growing together and you're more growing apart. And so while I'm not saying break up with your girlfriend because it's long distance, I'm also not going to say stay together if you feel like you shouldn't. But I just
Yeah.
think that first, before anything is done, a real serious gut check evaluation of how you feel and if this is something you want to continue doing is pertinent. Once you've done that and you're like, yes, I do want to be with this person, then you can take the steps of like making sure that you have that at least once a week phone call. And I think also, like, if we're talking about communication, it could be really good for you and I to kind of talk about how we communicate when there's tension
Yeah.
and fighting, because I mean, this person did mention that they want help to improve communication, and not to like toot my own horn, but I feel like you and I have
pretty good
communication
when things get tense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think, we are able to recognize when things are tense, and neither one of us want it to be that way. So I think ultimately it's important to just sort of like set your ego aside and just understand that like life is better when you're not trying to win an argument or, be in control of some form of situation, because ultimately like both of you are in a relationship to, I would say, conquer challenges together.
Yeah.
And so being able to, just apologize. I don't think any argument is ever all one person's fault. Even if it feels a little unbalanced, there's still something that both people can, admit to.
Yeah.
No matter what. And if one person is having trouble doing it sooner, the other person can make up for it, and then maybe the next time around the other person can admit to it first.
Yeah.
And that just helps dissolve the tension when you just come to your partner and you apologize for anything that you said or any way that you acted, and then that usually gives the other person a floor to speak as well. And they I think when it comes to us, that's usually what we do.
Yeah, I know. I am really grateful for that.
Yeah.
I notice that like when we do have arguments, I feel like one of us will apologize and explain what we did that was hurtful and that we recognize it and why we're apologizing. And I feel like almost every single time, whoever apologized first, the other person will wind up like also admitting like, hey, I appreciate you apologizing for that, and here's what I also did that inflamed the situation.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that's so important, because it's really hard to forgive someone and move on when you feel like you're taking blame, quote unquote, for everything. Right. And you know that it takes two to tango.
Yeah.
So I really like that take. I think also defensiveness is like really important. I've noticed with you that you're not very defensive, even when you might instinctually want to be. You take a breath, and like, so if I say something that, I don't know, this is a stupid example, but just for an example, let's say that like I'm upset because maybe like you put a dish in the sink and it's hardened for 3 days and now I can't scrub it off.
Wow.
You've never done that, but it's just like an example. So let's say you left a dish in the sink for 3 days and now I'm upset, and I go, okay, like what's going on with this? This is the second time that you've done this. And you being who you are, like, I know that instinctually your gut would be like, I don't always do this, like it's just one dish, like it's not that big of a deal. But you always, like, I just noticed this about you. You always, anytime that I have something to say about anything you've done, you're always like, okay, well, I'm sorry that I did that. I didn't realize that it was going to affect you in this way. Like, I'll try to be better in the future. And then we go forward from there.
Yeah.
And I try to be more like that. I'm not like that. I do get very defensive initially. I'm the kind of person who, like, I give into that gut instinct and I get defensive. And then after I have a second to think about it, I chill out and I'm like, okay, like, you're right.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have done that. Right. And
Totally.
so you're very proactively, what's the word? You're proactively non-defensive. I don't know what you would call it.
Yeah.
You're
Submissive. No, I'm kidding.
No, I think that I guess you could maybe call it that, but I think that there's place for quote unquote submission on both sides of the relationship in any relationship.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of give and take. So where are we in this advice? I guess we're saying learn how to apologize to your partner and take credit for your side of the street.
Yeah.
Whether you feel like you're 20% in the wrong, 10% in the wrong, 50% in the wrong, whatever it may be, owning your side of the street and humbling yourself.
Yeah.
And learning how to apologize for that, I think will give your partner space to apologize for their side of the street. And then you guys can kind of work together without that tension. It can help dissolve tension. So
Totally.
apologizing, trying not to be as defensive, not seeing everything as an attack.
Yeah. Nobody needs to win
Yeah.
this. You both should win together. Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously your partner wants to see more communication between the two of you. So making a commitment. If you want to be with this person and you need to get through this time of long-term relationship, then stick with a commitment that you make to your partner to show them that you do want to be with them.
Yeah.
So I think, do you have anything else to say?
Nope, that's great.
All right.
I love it.
Cool. All right. So done with that. And now we'll move on to our second submission. Hello. Did you ever struggle with intimacy yourself? If so, how do you and your partner overcome it? I struggle with self-image issues resulting in lack of intimacy. First thing that I noticed was that the person who submitted this, by the way, thank you for being vulnerable and submitting these questions, because I know that it can be, thank you for that. I know that it can be really hard to discuss these things. So we appreciate you writing in. The first thing that I noticed is that we're using the word intimacy here. Did you ever struggle with intimacy? If so, how do you and your partner overcome it? I struggle with self-image issues resulting in lack of intimacy. So there's that word 2 times, intimacy. So the first thing that jumped out to me was that word, because I'm going to assume here that the person who's writing in is referring to sexual intimacy with their partner. But there are actually many types of intimacy. So there's intellectual intimacy, spiritual intimacy, emotional intimacy, social intimacy, sexual intimacy, physical intimacy, experimental intimacy, conflict intimacy, and recreational intimacy.
Conflict intimacy.
So there's a lot of different types of intimacy, and we won't go into what each and every one of these means, but I just wanted to shed light on that because we can talk here about the fact that this person is writing in and she feels like she's struggling with intimacy with her partner, sexual intimacy, I'm going to assume, with her partner, because she feels like she has struggles with self-image, probably confidence and those types of things. She probably doesn't view herself in the most positive light, and that's bleeding into her ability to connect sexually with her partner. So my first thing that I thought about when I was reading this is, well, are we meeting each other in all of these other areas of intimacy, or in the vast majority of the other areas of intimacy? And especially, like, a lot of women feel, I don't want to generalize, but I will say that it's really common for heterosexual women to feel that it's more difficult to engage in sexual intimacy when they're not engaging in the other types of relational intimacy. So are you having physical intimacy with your partner that is not sexual? So things like holding hands, hugs, dancing together. Are you having a playful intimacy? Are you laughing and tickling and joking around?
Yeah.
Are you having recreational intimacy? Are you doing activities together? Like, are you going on walks together? Are you learning a new skill together? Are you playing board games sometimes? So there's just a lot of different, I think, areas that can affect this. And I would say that if you're struggling with self-image issues, do you have emotional intimacy with your partner? And if you do, then my advice to you would be to bring these self-image issues to your partner, exercise that emotional intimacy, that vulnerable intimacy, and bring your baggage to your partner and discuss it with them. And it's not like going to your partner and saying, here, fix this for me. I need you to fix this. You need to take responsibility of doing things like therapy, affirmations, exercise, whatever you need to do that's going to help heal these self-image issues that you have. But your partner should be there to support you.
Yeah.
And I think that, I don't know much about their relationship, but for me, that would be my advice, would be exercising the other areas of intimacy, and more specifically emotional intimacy, vulnerable intimacy, going to your partner and laying everything out on the table. And if your partner really loves you, they're going to accept all those things about you, and you're going to feel a lot safer and a lot more comfortable experiencing the sexual intimacy. It's not, trust me, like, we've been there. It's not going to be as much of a struggle once you come closer emotionally like that. Like, I've been there where I've felt like I'm not enough of anything, and it's nothing that Blake has ever done, but a lot of it is societal. But there have been times in my life where I don't even want to look in a mirror. I would want to turn around all the mirrors in the house. I hate the way that I look and the way that I feel, and bringing that, I feel ashamed for feeling that way. But then, like, when I would bring that to you, and I'm sitting here and I'm like a mess, and I'm crying and I'm apologizing and I'm sharing with you all these, like, not beautiful things about me, and then you hold space and you sit there and you hug me and you wipe the tears from my eyes and you tell me you love me and you're not going anywhere and you want to be here with me. And even just that is like a breath of fresh air. And I feel like I can relax. Like, I feel like it's a lot easier to connect sexually when I feel like I'm accepted. For everything.
Yeah. I think it's important because, it sounds like usually, I mean, in my experience, is if you're not able to connect with somebody intimately due to your sort of perception of yourself, does this person make you feel comfortable being who you are? So it's kind of their responsibility as a loving partner to do that for you if you want that if you both want that relationship. If not, if it's maybe not a serious relationship, then you can't ask that of anybody. But if they do want to be with you and they want to commit to you, and they want you to enjoy the relationship as well, then they should be validating your feelings and accepting you and reassuring you, and helping you feel comfortable in your skin, just exactly who you are. So, that's kind of what I was thinking, was just reassurance, lots of reassurance. Yeah. It definitely was. It was kind of like that in the beginning of our relationship.
Yeah, it is intermittently still too, I think. But the longer that we're together, the less I feel like I need that, but also because I feel like I'm doing things for myself, which is also a good point to make, which your partner does carry when you're in a committed relationship with someone. Your partner does carry a responsibility to express love to you in the way that you'll receive it and to make you feel accepted and loved, but that is not their sole responsibility. And in actuality, we are very much responsible for most of the work regarding how we feel in our relationship. And then our partner is there to support that and reassure us. So, I mean, for me, I intermittently do struggle, as I feel like anyone does, not just women, but anyone in this society struggles with the way that we view ourselves and our confidence. And so for me, I notice that when I'm not exercising as much, and it doesn't have anything to do with how I look, because I exercise a lot now in ways that are less crazy than ways I exercised in the past. I weigh more now, and I feel better now about my self-confidence in a lot of ways because I'm taking care of myself. So I'm not saying exercise to be a certain weight or look a certain way.
Right.
What I'm saying is that exercise is really good for your brain. It's really good for your mental health. It's good for your physical health. When you feel good physically, like, your mental health is usually going to follow. So making sure that you're getting exercise, even if all you're doing is walking every morning, like doing something to get you moving is golden. Like, and I don't think that enough people do that.
Yeah.
And I don't know what this person's regime is, but or regimen, regime. I don't know what this person. Yes.
Sorry.
I don't know what this person's regimen is, but I would really urge this person to make sure that they're exercising. Affirmations, listening to like sleep meditations. I've been doing that recently, and you might think that they don't actually affect your brain, but your brain is listening. When you're asleep, your brain is taking in and absorbing your surroundings. And I've found that listening to those sleep meditation and affirmations when I'm falling asleep has actually been really helpful in boosting my confidence. Aside from that, high desire, low desire, which is something to consider as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because that can, if you're not aware of that, your partner's desire level, then you might think that there's something wrong. But honestly, the more you know about your patterns and your partner's patterns, the more you can work with it and come to terms, accept it or not, and find something else that will work better for you. So what's the sitch on desire levels?
With all this, like, these surge of chemicals in your brain, it can be really easy to keep up sexually with anyone when you're in the beginning phase of a relationship. As that relationship starts to, what would we call it? Mature.
Mellow out? Oh, yeah, mature. There you go.
So as a relationship begins to mature, then we kind of start to lose the love drug and return back to like a homeostasis. And what's pretty obvious is that no two people's libidos are naturally going to always align perfectly. So we kind of have a couple ways of identifying who's who in a relationship, but it usually comes down to high desire partner and low desire partner. A lot of people will also refer to it as spontaneous desire partner and reactive desire partner.
So basically, there's spontaneous desired people and there's reactive desired people, and it's perceived in a relationship that the person with spontaneous desire is considered more high desire, and the person who's reactive is considered more low desire.
When you have someone who's like a spontaneous desire partner, or what can be perceived as the higher desire partner, it basically means like, okay, I'm ready to go, like anytime, anywhere.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't even necessarily mean that you're ready to go anytime, anywhere. It could just mean that you can feel desire out of absolutely nowhere. So you can basically be, I don't know, washing the dishes, and then you're just like, hey, let's get it on.
Yeah.
A reactive, someone who has a reactive desire more needs, a person with reactive desire is more likely to need some sort of stimulation in one way or another. So it could be exactly like a prompt. So like some kind of romantic gesture, or maybe just like a visual cue, or sometimes they don't start to feel desire at all until the other partner is making efforts in a sexual way, if that makes sense. So if I were a reactive desire, it could be that I don't feel any desire on my own to initiate or engage in sexual activity.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm open to sexual activity, when my partner begins to engage with me, then my body will start to kind of wake up to that and my desire will start to form.
Yeah.
And so what winds up happening here is a lot of people will say like, oh my God, like my partner wants it all the time and I just can't keep up. But what's really happening here is we just have two different types of desire that they haven't learned how to work well together yet. So I think that it's also necessary, maybe just to mention here, that the person who's writing in could possibly have a reactive desire.
Yeah.
So intimacy doesn't necessarily just come like the snap of a finger for someone who has reactive desire. So if you feel like you're not really ever in the mood, it might not necessarily just be because you're self-conscious, although I assume if you're writing in about self-consciousness, then you know that that does play a role. But it may be worth it for you to basically just determine if you are a reactive desire partner or a spontaneous desire partner. I would bet that the person writing in has more of a reactive desire. And if you bring that to your partner as the spontaneous partner, maybe the spontaneous partner can be a little bit more accommodating to that and a little more understanding. I think that it's common for a spontaneous desire partner or someone with a higher desire to feel like the other person doesn't want to be with them sexually.
Right.
And then when they feel that way, it puts pressure on the lower desire partner, because then the lower desire partner is like, you know, now I feel like I have to engage in sexual activity, but that makes me want it less.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then you get in this like vicious cycle. So you can Google spontaneous desire and reactive desire, and there's tons of information out there. I would urge you to read into it and discuss that with your partner, because, I mean, that's something that we've also experienced in our relationship. What has your experience been like with that? Because they do ask how we overcame any intimacy issues. And I would say that was probably our number one thing for a while.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we, you know, you, after maybe a year or so and things kind of matured, I would say that you had the spontaneous desire and I had the reactive desire.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, for me, I could just kind of like go through life just like not really thinking too much about it, not really thinking too much about that side of intimacy. And so that, I think, took a little bit of a toll on Angel when she didn't, you know, we didn't have an understanding of our desires and levels, right? And so you probably took it in a way that maybe you felt like, self-conscious. You were doing something wrong, maybe, you know,
I did feel very self-conscious, and I felt like, and it wasn't your fault, we just didn't know about any of that yet.
Yeah.
And I did feel like maybe there was something wrong with, like, I internalized it.
Yeah.
You know, when there wasn't like eager when there wasn't eager desire from you,
right.
like constantly,
right.
I started to worry that there was something wrong with me. I wasn't like skinny enough or pretty enough or whatever it may be, like the million things that we tell ourselves as women, which is why we're talking about this in regards to the submission, because it does apply.
Yeah.
I did feel like that. I did take that and internalize it, and then it like made things worse. Sorry, right. So you can continue.
Well, no, I mean, that's, you know, I think it took some time for us to talk enough about it,
mm-hmm.
and, you know, for us to each understand what we do going forward.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that if this is the case where this person is writing in and they believe that it's just self-image issues, which it's not usually just that. It's usually a combination of things.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I would probably tell this person to do a little bit of research into their desire type and their partner's desire type, and then sit down with your partner and discuss it, because it's obvious from the submission that you do want to be sexually intimate and physically intimate with your partner, and you feel like something's kind of getting in the way of that.
Yeah.
And I know that for us having that conversation, and I was able to get some reassurance from Blake that it wasn't anything about me or what I looked like. And then, we were able to kind of come to some solutions. So,
well, and one more thing I want to add, is I felt a lot of pressure with Angel being the more spontaneous, desired person, because I felt like a pressure to, be a certain way that wasn't natural to me.
Yeah.
And so that made it even more difficult to just be comfortable and connect with her. So, it was something that I had internalized, and I had felt like I
wasn't doing enough.
Yeah, right, totally. Yeah. And so it puts a pressure on you, and then it's like, how can you get comfortable and get intimate like that if now if now there's this level of pressure that you feel that really doesn't even need to exist in two people who love each other and want both of each other to be happy. So it helped to talk about it.
Yeah, it really did. Yeah. And taking pressure off too. And I think as the higher desire partner, for me, I feel like I placed so much emphasis on it. Like, I wouldn't mean to do this, but I'd catch myself counting days or weeks, or I would be like, oh my God, it's been 9 days since the last time that we had sex.
Yeah.
And I would catch myself doing that, and I would feel tension over it, and I can't remember the last time that I did that.
I think that it is a weird reference point that people use in determining how well a relationship is going.
Yeah.
Like, is the sex good? It's like, that's a whole other thing, right? It's like, are you guys actually connecting? Yeah. So...
well, and everyone has a different idea of how often they should be having sex in a relationship, so it's kind of like, it's completely subjective.
It is subjective. Yeah, it's subjective to everybody and everyone's relationship.
Subjective.
I think. I'm pretty sure. So.
Yes, subjective. Anyway, it varies from person to person. So I think that's such a silly thing to be like, oh, well, we only have sex once a week, or, oh, we only have sex once a month. But it's like, everyone's going to be okay with a different number. Like, the number is not actually what matters.
Right.
And if you can get away from counting that,
trying to measure it in some
trying
capacity.
to measure it.
Yeah.
And I think once I was able to relax into understanding that you loved me and accepted me and that you did want to be with me, it was just like not gonna be sexual intimacy as often, then I was able to kind of focus on the other forms of intimacy as well, to help kind of build that sense of connection between us.
Yeah.
And I am so grateful for the way that things are now, and I almost never feel dissatisfied.
Oh, good.
Like, dissatisfied, not like that. I'm very satisfied in that way. Dissatisfied with like the number, because it's not something that I focus on anymore. Like, I'm never thinking like, oh, we only had sex twice this week. Like, what's wrong? Like, never once is that ever a thought in my mind, because we have such a beautiful connection in so many ways.
Yeah.
So anyway, I guess we can kind of sum all of that up in one nice little bag and tie it off and send it off to you. I think if we were to kind of encapsulate everything that we've said, it would be, first and foremost, talk to your partner. Make sure that you're experiencing all of the types of intimacy with your partner, not just sexual intimacy. If you haven't already, make sure to look into desire types. Figure out what desire type your partner is, what desire type you are, and then you can discuss kind of how to move forward and agreements that you guys can make and intentions that you can set behind your relationship and how you're going to interact with each other moving forward to kind of ease some of that tension. And then taking care of yourself the best that you can. I don't know what kind of struggles you have. I don't know what kind of mental health issues you may or may not have, but exercise and eating well and sleeping well are not overrated. Like, they're actually very important things.
Huge.
Yes.
It's like the most important stuff.
Yeah.
It really is.
So, I guess we can move on to the last section.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so the title is, Am I Overreacting to What My Wife Said About an Ex? We were at a small event and sharing a table with a mutual friend. The friend mentions another gentleman, and my wife and I both giggle as I know that my wife had dated him 30 years ago. The friend asks why we giggled, and my wife explains they grew up in different towns and how her and I randomly stumbled upon him in our current town.
Funny.
She has had a couple drinks at this point and mentions they dated long enough for her to fool around with him. They're talking about the other gentleman across the room,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
So the wife is like, I dated and we fooled around back in high school.
Cool.
Whatever, this doesn't bother me as I already knew it's not like she was my first either. So then she goes on to talk about how big his dick was.
Why? Why is that necessary?
Yeah. Okay. I know.
Weird.
I was pretty floored. Our friend laughed and said, gross. I chimed in and I said, you were 15. I'm pretty sure your judgment is clouded. She doubles down and goes on about it. I change the subject and continue our night. On the car ride home, I tell her that I was offended by what she said. She told me, sorry, you know we have great sex and you're big too.
Little little pat on the head.
The head. A little pat on the head.
Pat on both heads.
When we got home, we got into it again and ended up with her in tears and me sleeping in the guest room. I've ignored her all day. Honestly, I'm kind of repulsed at the moment and not sure I can get past it. I have no worries about my penis size, but for me, this whole thing was just such a sign of disrespect that she would talk to a mutual friend like that right in front of me. I just can't even imagine having a conversation with her that doesn't escalate. Ugh, am I overreacting?
No, you're not overreacting. Dude, I mean, what? It's just so bizarre that she would fixate on that.
Yeah.
It's like totally unnecessary. You got nothing else to say. She's got nothing else to say about this ex.
I know. I know she was also drinking, but like that's not really an excuse.
Yeah, I mean, what if, babe, what if we were out at a bar and, we saw my ex and we both laughed because our friend pointed her out. And we're like, oh yeah, whatever. And then I was like, she had the fattest ass.
Jail. I would be in jail for assault. No, I'm just kidding.
I feel like,
I would never.
Fuck off. What do you mean?
Yeah,
What?
Okay, here's why I think it's a problem. Like, if we're gonna be serious about it, because this person's like, am I overreacting?
Yeah.
And I love to be serious about things. It's not like, obviously the partner knows you dated other people before me, I dated other people before you, we both slept with other people, it is what it is. It's not like he's trying to ignore or pretend like that never happened.
Right.
But I wouldn't go around commenting on men's bodies that I don't know. Why would I comment on men's bodies that I do know?
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like most people who are in monogamous committed relationships would feel kind of offended and hurt by that. And again, not the fact that like you feel insecure about the size of your penis, but rather just the fact that she felt like that was an appropriate comment to make, and especially in front of you and all of your friends. It does seem like it's the principle of the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not cool. And like as the partner, when you bring that to your partner, like, hey, maybe we make mistakes, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
You thought about it. I mean, sure, if you're cool with it, you're cool with it. But like, once you bring that to your partner's attention, your partner should be adult enough to like recognize and validate your feelings and like maybe apologize.
And a better apology than just, sorry, but you have a big dick too and we have good sex.
Yeah.
Like completely disregarding the fact that you feel disrespected.
Right, yeah. It felt kind of narcissistic in a way. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was just like, yeah,
No, you're not overreacting.
No, you're not overreacting.
I think if I said anything like that about my ex, you would feel the same way. And if you said that, I would feel I think that most people would probably feel the same way that you're feeling. I don't think this person is overreacting.
Right.
I think that he deserves a back rub and an actual sincere apology. Because if I got drunk and made that mistake, I would be so apologetic to you.
Yeah.
Like, you could not get me to apologize enough. like, not overreacting. All right.
All right.
Well, that concludes our episode for today. So, for all of you who are tuned in and listening, thank you so much. We greatly, greatly appreciate you being here. And anything else to say?
We'll see you in the next episode.
We'll see you in the next episode. Stay spicy, you guys. Bye.